Hey, what's going on everybody? This is No Filter, a Nintendo podcast, and this video today, it's going to be a little bit different than normal. As you guys know, I've been doing a lot of reviews lately, a lot for Eshop games for Nintendo Switch, and I feel like I wanted to switch things up a little bit. I feel like I'm throwing up a lot of smaller videos, and this one, I feel like my channel has always been a little bit more chill, you know, kind of relax with the podcast and have some like insightful conversation. So yeah, this is kind of what I want to do here. So I have 4 different Nintendo eShop games that I want to talk about here in detail, but you know, a little bit more relaxed setting and talk about them, maybe even compare them a little bit amongst each other. So let's get started. First game I want to talk about is Baobabs Mausoleum. I guess the full title of this is Baobabs Mausoleum Episode 1 Avnifagos Don't Eat Flamingos. I don't know what that name is, but honestly, it like I don't know what it says, but it basically perfectly describes this game. So, Baobab's Mausoleum is a mix of a game. I'd say it's a mix of a Tim Burton piece of work with what I assume is like an Undertale and Earthbound, and a mix of Psychonauts in the style. It is a crazy world, and it's a point-and-click adventure, and it comes to us from Zero Uno Games and developed by Celery Emblem. And again, even the name Celery Emblem kind of, I guess, you know, highlights what this game is actually going to be like. Anyway, yeah. So the game is a point-and-click adventure. A little bit different than anything I've seen. Like, I know I compared it to a lot of these things, like the Tim Burton and the Earthbound especially, but it's batshit bonkers, I'm telling you guys, and that is definitely its best aspect. The game is, first off, as you guys can see, the game is gorgeous. The character designs are awesome, and the writing, while it's not perfect, it does hit on all the comedic notes very well. Again, it's a point-and-click adventure, but you're in this really crazy world. Basically, you play as an FBI agent called, I think his name was Watresho Walpurgis. Again, crazy characters, but basically it's like it looks like he's an eggplant head with lettuce hair, and he's in like a human body or something like that. I don't know how you want to explain it, but basically he crashes his car and he finds himself in Flamingos Creek, a place that appears every 25 years in Albatross Road, and basically he's just trying to find a way out of there. So basically he's going through all these towns and this whole town here, finding all these different people, trying to find help to get out, and he finds himself in a bit of a debacle there. So it's again, it's kind of a crazy story, but it really is more about the characters and the interactions when you're moving around. It's really it's kind of interesting. It mainly takes place in top-down 2D levels, basically, you know, like a large-scale puzzle-solving thing like you would see in point-and-click adventures. However, there are instances of side-scrolling 2D and even 3D perspective, like a fully 3D world, which is really cool, and I love seeing this in games like this, where like you're playing the majority of the games and it's in this really pretty 2D top-down view, but then all of a sudden one level shows up and you're in a fully 3D realized world, as if everything just popped up as like a pop-up book. That was really the best, probably one of the best instances of the game. It was so amazing. You guys should definitely have a look at that. But again, the thing about this game, it is only one episode. As you guys can see in the title, it's an episode 1, so it is quite short. There's 10 acts. The acts range from either being like 5 minutes long to like 30 minutes long. So I'd say the game's probably about 2 to 3 hours of gameplay. You do have unlockables, but they're nothing too special. And again, there's not too much replay value, as it is just an episode 1 and we'd be waiting for episode 2. The music is also actually really good in this and fits the world and the atmosphere really well. Like, actually, I guess another game I'd want to compare this to is like a Psychonauts, right? It really is, you know, it has that like loony aspect to it, and very interesting characters, and you know, like they're vegetables, or you're like shooting a cannonball out of the air, landing on a squirrel, blood guts fly everywhere. Like there's nothing everything's out of the ordinary, yet nothing is in the world, kind of a thing. Overall, I really enjoyed this game, and it does have me excited for episode 2. Even if it seems like they just kind of cut off the game at some random point, it seems like it just kind of ended out of nowhere. It's almost as if like the developer maybe ran out of money, so then instead of like just trying to fill out the whole game but then making it poor, I guess he maybe put all of his effort into these 10 acts, and then cut off the game there, release it out. I don't know what the whole the situation is, but hopefully it does well enough, because I definitely want to play episode 2. It was real, like, again, I was pretty addicted to it, just going through it. And again, the world's just so incredibly made. There's so much influence from, I'm thinking, Earthbound and Psychonauts. It's something special. So anyways, there are my thoughts about the game, guys. Again, I'm trying to do this a little bit more as an informal review than anything, but let's get on to the next indie game. Next game is called Zenbound 2. And for any of you out there that really enjoyed the 3DS eShop game Art of Balance, this is a must play. Honestly, this is a fantastic game. I fell in love with this, especially for those who are fans of the Wii generation, where we had all these unique games using the motion controls in unique, different ways. You know, having something unique and special like that, we don't see that too often nowadays with the systems we have out right now. So playing something like this was a true breath of fresh air for me. And again, if any of you were big fans of the Wii days and having some of these unique games coming out, this is one of them and is a must buy. No joke, you will not be disappointed. The game has an awesome use of the Joy-Con and the HD rumble and the gyro. So basically, you're tying a rope around an object, and that object is your controller. So basically, a rope is in the center of your screen, as you guys can see. You're rotating the controller in 360 degrees, and you're basically trying to tie that rope around the object that you have, basically to color it 100%. And then as soon as that's done, boom, you're done. Basically, the game, or whatever, the level. It sounds very basic, and the premise is very basic, but the shapes of the objects are what really creates the strategy for the game. You know, one of the levels you could have like a snake, for example, and trying to tie a rope around a snake, whereas if you wrap around one end of the snake, but then you have all these other objects that are in the way and you can't tie it like that anymore, it gets very tough at some points, and you really have to angle it very minutely to try to find the perfect angles and not waste the amount of rope, because the amount of rope you have is limited per level. So you can't just wrap everything too many times, or you can't just, for example, another bit of strategy, if you wrap one end of the object to the other and there's a big gap in between, all of a sudden you have this rope that's lifted and elevated up off of the object, blocking all of the ropes from painting the object underneath it. So you have to be very strategic in how you do this, which again added another layer to how amazing I just love this game. I guess another thing I kind of want to talk about, the visuals, for sure. They're like, it's basically real life. Like there's nothing to complain about the visuals. It's very basic. It's like basically little whittled wooden projects that you're using, and the ropes look real. It's like, it just looks like basically real life. You know, there's not much else to say about that. But yeah, again, it reminds me of those awesome days in the Wii days, and that might be a little bit of nostalgia pushing me here to like really enjoy and like have such high praise for it, but like I don't think so. Like, this is extremely well made, fantastic puzzle game, and again, it's a nice Zen experience. And if you're a fan of those Wii games, I reiterate probably the 10th time already, this is a must buy. But if you don't like using motion controls, I'm gonna say avoid it. I tried it with just the joysticks, which you can do. It just seems slow and clunky, not nearly as intuitive. It just kind of ruined it. It just wasn't nearly as fun for me as it was actually using the motion controls. It's quicker, more precise, just funner to use like that. So there it is, guys. That's Zenbound 2. Actually, it's from Secret Exit, publisher and developer, and yeah, it's a really fantastic game, and yeah, for $15, it's a steal, in my opinion. So on to the next game. Next game is 6180 The Moon. So I've seen this game before. I feel like this game has been on like literally every platform ever made. I remember seeing it on the 3DS a little while ago, actually a few years ago, I think. But yeah, I finally got the chance to play it on Switch. So 6180 The Moon is essentially just a typical 2D side-scrolling platformer from Turtle Cream, the publisher-developer. But yeah, it's a platformer, but it has this unique mechanic of, I guess, gravity, the use of gravity, and basically having basically, if you fall off the screen, you will appear on the top and keep falling at increasingly accelerating speeds. With the speed, with the force of gravity, right? So, yeah. So basically, a lot of the time you'll be jumping and trying to do a platforming mechanic, just going left to right as this ball of light. Basically, you're the moon. And you're trying to jump, and you jump off the top of the screen, then you fly up from the bottom, land on another platform or something like that. You have a lot. That's the main hook of the game, and they really hit that home. It incorporates most of its levels design jumping off of the one platform, going as far as you can to avoid, say, spikes falling through the bottom, and then to the top to land on this one. But you guys see what I mean. It's the majority of the game is kind of focused on this element, and it really does hit it home, and it's interesting for a little bit, but I do feel like it kind of goes over the same few level design ideas a little bit too much that kind of made it kind of soured on me a little bit. It's definitely satisfying, and it does control well, and but again, like, my issue is it is a little bit short, and a lot of the tricks and the ideas that it has, it kind of repeats over and over again. It does add a few unique levels towards the end that really does test your mettle. But it is still a lot emphasized on on the sort of basic concept, and doesn't get too much more in depth than that. When you beat the game and you find the sun, you then have like a whole end game, basically going through all the levels backwards though, which is really cool. So you're basically going right to left again, but going. But it really makes me appreciate the level design even more after I beat the first, basically I beat the game, just to see that they design these levels so they can basically be going from left to right and right to left. And, it's interesting. I didn't go through the entire thing again, going from right to left, but it's definitely interesting and definitely adds some more replay value. I'd say the first run was probably about 2 hours for me. So clock the game in for probably around 4 to 5 hours, and I believe the game's under $5. So really, it's kind of a good. I'll say if you really like platform games, if you like 2D platformers, I feel like this might be a good buy, especially on the Switch, having it handheld. I think it could be a really good buy because it is a very competent, good platformer. I just wasn't as too enthused with it. I've also been playing a lot of 2D platformers recently, so maybe that's kind of souring my experience on a lot of other platformers out there. But there's guys, there's 6180 the Moon, and again, thank you Turtle Cream for sending the review code. Next game is called Lost Sea from East Asia Soft. In Lost Sea, you play a survivor of a plane crash in the Bermuda Triangle on a deserted island. You meet a crazy scientist who sets up docks, and you and him are basically trying to escape these deserted islands while also saving and recruiting other survivors on the way. It is a top-down action-adventure game similar to Zelda. It's kind of with the mix of the style of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It's kind of got like the piratey style, tropical island style to it. You need to basically collect tablets on each of these islands, which power your ship to move your ship further and closer to the end boss island. The game is, it has all these elements kind of thrown in there, but it is more of a roguelike, but with checkpoints, which I actually really like. Think similar to the Zelda Breath of the Wild Hero Trials, where you get past a certain point in the game, and then you will always start over from that point. You upgrade your skills, basically going through each map. You upgrade your skills like a spin attack, a sprint, dodge. You can increase your health, or you can upgrade the ship that you have, which basically moves on that overworld map that'll allow you to basically increase the amount of the tablet's power to fuel your ship. That allows you to move more islands at a time, or have it point out tablet areas on islands for you. There's a lot of upgrades and stuff like that, but when you do die, because it is roguelike, all of those upgrades go away. And yeah, basically you explore the islands, defeat enemies, find coins and skill points, explore to find tablets and items, rescue civilians or the other survivors that join your team and give you bonuses in combat and exploration, and then head back to the ship to proceed to the next island. Then you go to the boss island, you face the boss, you rinse and repeat. You go through the other islands, you find more different stuff, upgrade your person, make sure you don't die, because again, you lose all that progress, except for when you beat one of the bosses, you move on to the next set of islands, because again, like what I said, it is roguelike, and you will go back to the last segment of the islands that you were on, but you lose all your upgrades, which honestly, At first, it really hooked me with the game. The roguelike aspect, it really made me be cautious with how I was moving throughout the world. It made me really, whenever I see enemies, make me really have to like pay attention and care about how I'm going to go in there to attack. It's not like a mindless game. You have to really think about it because the game can get hard too. And it's a really good benefit for the game as well because it really just keeps things interesting. But yeah, the combat is extremely basic. And the islands look the same after a while, even when you move to different sets of islands. There's desert, tropical, snow, etc. It's the same thing, and the maps are procedurally generated, so they all look basically identical over and over again, just with a different color swatch on it, basically. And again, it allowed for the game to be pretty fun for about 3 or 4 hours in what I had, but then after that I had everything upgraded. I wasn't dying anymore because I was so powerful. I had civilians helping me out with basically reviving me and stuff like that. But yeah, after a certain point, it just got boring. Everything looked the same. I was doing the same task over and over and over again. So if you're looking for a game that's longer than the 3 to 4 hours, which this does give you, I feel like that might not be the best game. In that aspect, because I feel like if it cut it shorter at around the 2 to 3 hour mark and maybe reduce the cost, I feel like it would have been a better game for it. Whereas now, like, one of the things it advertises is that it has millions of procedurally generated islands, which is totally true. They're all different, but they have the same elements populating it, and that's what kind of made it seem like deja vu over and over and over again to me. And yeah, the map system is awful. You know, you're moving through these islands trying to explore and find different gates, items, and different things like that throughout the world, but the map system is so bad. You do unlock different things to, like, say you click in the left stick to basically get a homing beacon that brings you all the way back to the ship, but it's a little bit slow like that, and I don't know, but I don't want to seem like I'm dogging on the game too much just because towards the end it really slowed down for me, but I just feel like some of the design decisions with the roguelike element was really implemented well, but at the same time with the procedurally generated and the kind of doing the same thing over and over again, it really didn't help out as much. Whereas if each level that you progressed through with this roguelike were different, and then maybe when you died and you restarted, each of the levels moving up were in different orders or something like that, I feel like that would have been a better way, other than just having, basically you're going to essentially the same island. It's the same few elements. There's a gate, you have to find a key, there's a few tablets that you have to bring back to the ship, you know, there's a few item chests that you can get, there's a few civilians there you save, there's a bridge you have to repair. You know, it kind of goes through the paces, and that's kind of what I feel like was the downfall to this game towards the end. But again, I really don't want to seem like I'm down on this game, because I did enjoy it like thoroughly. Again, it had me hooked for the first like 3 to 4 hours, but again, I'd suggest if you like top-down Zelda games, then I think this is a pretty great game for a handheld. And by the way, the visuals, this game looks like gorgeous. I don't know if it's like the cell shading or whatever it is, but like it looks really good on the Switch screen. I don't know what it is. It just it looks very vibrant. The colors are beautiful, and yeah, I don't know what it is. It's something about it. It looks super appealing to me. Whoever did the art for the game, yeah, really good. Yeah, there it is, guys. Again, I feel like I made this sound a lot more negative than it was actually should have been, but those are just my thoughts. I wanted to do very calm kind of video here reviewing these 4 games. And again, what do I think of all 4 of them? I think they're all 4, depending on what kind of games you like. I feel like all 4 have definitely some good merits, but in my opinion, the best game so far out of the 4 is definitely Zen Bound 2. I'd also put Baobabs Mausoleum up there. It was just so crazy and wonky, and yeah, Lost Sea was pretty good, especially for a top-down Zelda sort of like adventure game. And 6180 The Moon for the 2D platformer fans out there, and that might be one you're interested in as well. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys appreciate this different type of video. Instead of me having so many different reviews come out, smaller reviews have just a more longer longer strung video with all this stuff in a little bit more of a casual setting. So hopefully I'm not rambling too much, which I definitely am right now. So I'm going to end the video right now. I will see you all next time.